coming, bro. We on a PJ bored as hell. What we up to? We just drenching. How you feel, bro?
Alright y'all, now there's been a bunch of mystery and conspiracies behind the passing of Juice WRLD since he left us, where many people have their own theories as to what happened to him. Many blame the girl he was with at the time, many blame just the industry as a whole, and some even say the people who were around him in his last moments seem suspect. Now I don't know y'all, which is why I decided to do a reaction to this, because it was a surprise to me hearing that Juice WRLD may have been getting extorted. Now one thing I could say, Juice WRLD was very privy and hip to the industry, knowing the weird things that go on as he spoke about it in his music. Some say he knew his fate way before it even happened and gave hints in songs such as Legends, where he would say, quote, "What's the 27 Club? We ain't making it past 21. And coincidentally, he was 21 when he lost his life. Now I know due to hearing him speak about taking substances all throughout his music, even in interviews, it's easy to blame that. But what if there's more to the story? Now for y'all that don't know what's going on behind the passing of Juice, he would lose his life after suffering a seizure when he landed at the airport in Chicago from a flight that he took with friends from California. The part that has everyone confused and scratching their heads is the fact that his last moments were literally taken on camera. Before the plane took off, he's clowning around with members of No Limit and everyone else on the plane, and he looks real healthy. Then the last video we would see Juice WRLD alive is where before he gets off the plane after it landed, he's seen with someone in the back laughing as they're searching a mobile device. We watched him walk as he made his way off the plane, but suddenly he was gone. According to reports, he would have a seizure as he got off the plane, taken to the hospital, where he will ultimately later be pronounced deceased. Now once again, there's a lot of theories circulating of what happened, and keep in mind, all of this is alleged, but it is interesting to hear someone's take on why they feel, how they feel, with the evidence that they have to back it up. Now shout out to Trap University. I'll leave a link pinned in the comments for y'all to check out the original video so y'all could go support and show love to their platform. In the meantime, make sure you hit that thumbs up button so we can get this video into the algorithm, and if you not subscribed to the platform already, make sure you do so now. Let's get into it.
One of the first things I heard after Juice WRLD's passing was that the pilot on the private jet that he chartered to fly back to Chicago had tipped off law enforcement that there were several illegal items being carried on the plane, and this is why the police were waiting for him when he landed. But then I found out that a month before any of this happened, his flight from Los Angeles to Sydney, Australia was searched by federal agents because he was allegedly already on an FBI watch list. So what is actually the background of what happened on that jet?
Now that's a good, I forgot about that part too. It's a lot of strange stuff that went on, right? Why would Juice WRLD be on the FBI watch list, right? Out of all this, for y'all that don't know who Juice WRLD is, it was a time at his young age, he had a run. Like he's one of them guys, them artists that had a cult following. right? He had like that big backpack crew, like the drug, and I can't really explain it, but he had a very, very core audience. So why would somebody like him not be wanted by police and just, no, he was on the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation's watch list.
It's important to note that despite some of his fans being angry at the pilot for allegedly calling the police, the pilot could have very well been an informant, or at the very least coerced by the FBI into providing information. I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but the airport is federal. If you're suspected in any way of crossing state lines, whether by plane or car, you've crossed into federal territory. So of course, if the FBI had checked one of his flights beforehand, why wouldn't they contact his pilot or any pilot that he chartered and order them to provide information? The FBI is not exactly someone you can withhold much information from, especially not as a pilot. Instead of trying to point blame at his girlfriend, the pilot, or whoever was on the flight, the question people should be asking is why over 70 pounds of narcotics were found on the plane.
That's another thing. Now, you know what's crazy? A lot of this got swept under the rug, and keep in mind, we don't know anybody that got in trouble for this. Now, let's just say, right, maybe the blame was put on Juice WRLD, right? Something, I don't know, something never seemed right. And you know what? He's bringing a lot of details that even I forgot. But the number one thing is, why was all those drugs on his plane? Now, it's one thing for consumption, but he's not consuming all that, right? Let's be real here. And if he was to get caught for it, if he was to go to jail, he would be charged as a person that was suspected of distribution, which means that they would charge him saying that, well, he was going to sell this. But we know that Juice WRLD wouldn't be the one selling it, right? And we also know that a lot of times guys use private jets to transport certain things because they get to skip TSA and the regular plane stuff that us normal people wouldn't.
If it were just a few pounds, then I'd say it was all for personal use. It was his birthday week, and according to what his girlfriend told law enforcement, he was an addict. But 70 sounds a lot like trafficking. But why would an artist whose music has already gone gold, platinum, and even diamond while he was alive, living in Encino, one of the most expensive areas in Los Angeles, need to traffic anything? And also, he was only visiting Chicago. He wasn't living there. As I said, he lived in Encino. And this is confirmed by not only he himself stating that he lived in LA, but the Chicago Fire Department also confirmed that in his post-mortem report. But none of this was more surprising than finding out that his remains were transferred to Leak & Sons. If you're not from Chicago, you have no idea what this is, but it's a grimy funeral home in a very grimy area. And his funeral wasn't held there, but the mere mention of it made a certain hood pop into my head, No Limit, which is on 79th, just like Leak & Sons, only Leak & Sons is a bit further west.
Yo, you know what's crazy? Shout out to this platform. I caught a previous video, and one thing I could say about him, he may not say certain things, but the way he break it down, you got no choice but to be like, And when you think about Chicago, right, as a whole, I think at this point, we already know that there's a lot of corruption going on in Chicago. Hell, all you gotta do is read the headlines, right? Whether it's politicians, police, EMT, there's a lot of corruption. So, with this man having over 70 pounds of marijuana on a private jet, and then having a certain group of people that just coincidentally may be involved in not so legal things with a background to prove it, who knows? Interesting.
Now, I'm kinda unclear on what links a kid from the south suburbs to a hood on 79th Street. As Juice WRLD said himself, his mother moved him away from the hood a long time before he blew up. So the guy that signed him after being put onto his music was Lil Bibby, who was a rapper turned executive from No Limit, who also did not know Juice WRLD. When he met Juice WRLD for the first time, he was in the studio.
Hold up. Do y'all see what I see? Ain't no way in hell he has this on his head right now. And I don't know if this is a hat or the yarmulke. What's that thing that the Uish people wear? That tells me a lot.
From No Limit, who also did not know Juice WRLD. When he met Juice WRLD for the first time, he was in the studio with other guys from No Limit who also did not know him. Now, I'll admit that while he was alive, I always thought his association with No Limit was strange. Just being from the city, the suburbs are their own world, and typically the only way you see a guy from the suburbs heavily associating himself with a neighborhood in the inner city is if there was some type of family ties. For instance, there are usually different branches in a family, and a lot of people that grew up in the hood have cousins that grew up middle class in the suburbs. I have family all over the country, from the hood in Memphis to the suburbs in the valley on the west coast. Now, I don't believe that Bibby is as affiliated with No Limit as he once was, since he really has been playing the executive role for a while, far removed from Chicago. But the guys introduced to Juice Wrld due to his affiliation with Bibby are not executives living in mansions. They are very much guys that were still in the streets. So what use would a millionaire raised in the suburbs be to a street gang? Well, in 2022, 3 Army soldiers along with several other people were accused of trafficking weapons to fuel a gang war, which also took the life of a No Limit associate, proving that even with how disorganized gangs are in Chicago, at least some blocks have enough money flowing through them to get certain people in certain positions to acquire things for them. And if what I speculate is true, it's not hard to believe that Juice Wrld was just being used by somebody for his money and access to private flights.
Of course. Yo, see, like I said, his way of narrating certain things and painting a picture without saying certain things is brilliant. But you also got to remember, right? It could come a thing where Juice Wrld had great music, but he just needed that industry tie. And of course, Bibby will be that industry tie because Bibby is Bibby. So he would say, well, you know what? I know he has great music. I know that he's gonna pop. I know he could grasp an audience that I can't because I'm a drill rapper. So I could sign him, right? And then I could just push him. He has a core audience. He's gonna go no matter what. So you know what? Let me put everything behind him and reap the benefits. And in conjunction with that, allegedly, we could do extracurricular activities. Because let's be real, do we really think Juice Wrld was on a plane with over 70 pounds? Right? But without knowing these guys, if you told me such and such had 70 pounds, that's more believable, right?
Streets are a cold place, and when you're dealing with people at that level, they'll happily take advantage of you and find the right guy to send you the proposition you can't refuse. When I saw a video of Juice Wrld freestyling and he was actually disrespecting dead people, including some of No Limit ops, I knew there was some type of follower activity going on. Again, he's from the suburbs, and although some suburbs of Chicago are dangerous, some are very much not. And he grew up in Homewood, which I would definitely not describe as dangerous or gang infested. So would it be far-fetched to say that some guys from 79th convinced him to bring some weight in for them? I don't believe so. In fact, No Limit Cairo, a character from No Limit, even admitted on No Jumper of all places that he was on the plane with him the day Juice Wrld died. Now, it's important to remember that Cairo is not a rapper. He tried his hand in vlogging on YouTube before he ended up in the feds, but he was strictly known for being a guy in the streets for No Limit. Not a rapper, producer, or anything that has to do with music. And listen, a lot of these guys could have genuinely liked Juice Wrld and become his friends, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't ask him to do something risky. He was 20 and so were a lot of guys around him, and when I was 20, I was in college, so I can't say that I never saw anyone be convinced to do something that would ruin their life if they got caught. And this is the streets, so it's even worse. And there is even a rumor that some of the guys around him took Juice Wrld's watch after he died. And it's not the same, but it just reminds me of Chief Keef having things stolen out of his house because he let people in that he thought were his friends. In reality, most people are just opportunists, especially when you're the one that achieves something that most people only dream about. I'm from 79th, so I can just imagine what these guys felt like flying on private jets with Juice Wrld and riding around LA in foreign cars. This is a guy that was...
Y'all gotta remember, right? Juice Wrld, like he said, is from the suburbs. Yeah, he probably made good music, but to them, he was just Juice Wrld. Right? And we know how some of the guys in Chicago could be, especially when they know you're not like that. They're going to take advantage. And that's not just in Chicago alone. That's in life, period. Imagine a millionaire around a whole bunch of people that's really like that. And he's not. And they know that. Here comes the manipulation. Here comes the passive aggressive bullying. Right? The low key... all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I keep going back to the fact that all those drugs was found on that plane because I totally forgot. But I think that tells us everything we need to know.
Was more successful than any rapper and arguably any entertainer from Chicago ever since Kanye West. During his life, he was top 10 in all of music as far as popularity. Just standing next to him would have got you 50,000 followers. And Cairo, now I'm not saying that if what I speculate is true that he was involved, as Cairo is the only guy from that area that was smart enough to capitalize off his own name and affiliation with people more famous than him, and it led to him gaining hundreds of thousands of views on his own YouTube channel, earning his own money. And it's also important to remember that there is no current investigation into all of the things found on his plane. Some of the people that were on board with him were only charged with weapons, but whatever trafficking investigation the feds had open on Juice WRLD, they clearly thought he was the ringleader because the case is closed.
Now think about it, right? That's either one or two things. Either they told, because there's no way, right? You get caught with all that stuff. Somebody gotta say, listen, that's either mine or his, right? And if he passed away, 9 times out of 10, everybody on that plane said it was his. Because if they didn't, it would still be an open investigation, because the feds, listen, the feds aren't going to let all that stuff escape like that. It's not just going to be an open and shut case. This is over 70 pounds of marijuana. So at the end of the day, for them to just dismiss it and say, all right, what I said, we found 70 pounds, but who cares? Clearly somebody put it on Juice WRLD. Whoever was in there put it on Juice WRLD. But now the question is that the reason why he's no longer here? I don't know.
And several No Limit members have been arrested since his death, including Cairo, but none charged with drug trafficking. The affiliation between Juice and No Limit just shows how naive he really was. Since he was discovered by a No Limit associate, and he's the one that put him in the room with the other label executives, he might feel like he owes some type of loyalty to him, and that's fine. And if the guys around Lil Bibby showed Juice WRLD support, and he felt loyalty to them as well, that's fine too. But being from Chicago, you would know that just being seen with some of these guys can make you a target, which is unnecessary, especially if you're not actually involved in what they have going on. No Limit is a very infamous hood, and they've been getting busy for over 30 years. Multiple generations, from back in the day when it was just called Terror Town to today with Drench Gang. These are some guys that you're only seen with if you're prepared to take on everything that they're into. And it's no secret, this has been one of the more intimidating cliques, like I said, for over 30 years. It's not just some group of young guys that jumped in the streets and started gangbanging. But maybe Juice was just so under the influence most of the time that he didn't even realize what kind of danger he was putting himself in just by being around them. And
I don't think it's so much that. Maybe he felt he owed Bibby loyalty. You gotta remember, he was signed to him, right? If I'm not mistaken, I keep saying that, but I can remember that he was signed under Bibby. So maybe it's not much he was able to do anyway. You ever start hanging around somebody so much that your crowd becomes their crowd and you may not even know everybody involved? That seemed to be the situation. Not to mention, he's not really like that. So maybe he felt like these guys was his safety net. These guys was his protection. He went from being Juice WRLD, right, from the suburbs, to now he get to paint this image the way he got all this money, he got the drugs he want, he's doing whatever he want, and he has the protection to feel like he can do what he want. So maybe, like Kanye said, no one man should have all that power.
The back door always open in Chicago. It's hard for me to believe that Juice WRLD wasn't somewhat intimidated by these guys, as in his freestyle where he was dissing they ops, he even hesitated for a second as if almost rethinking his actions. But the person behind the camera dropping the rakes was most likely No Limit. Either way, if you want to believe that the police being tipped off is the reason Juice WRLD is no longer here, that's fine. But whatever was going on, it just doesn't look like something that he should have ever been involved with in the first place. Thanks for watching, and rest in peace to Gerard Higgins.
That's pretty much it, y'all. See, I like this. Nice, straight to the point, pointing out all the key details and weird stuff that's in the situation. Right? I'm glad that I seen this because I actually forgot about the drugs that was on that plane. Right? Not only that, but I forgot that Juice WRLD, listen, Juice WRLD was on the FBI watch list. Do you know how much it takes to be on the not just wanted, he was on the Federal Bureau of Investigation's watch list. So my thing is, even if you don't think that his death is a little sketchy, it's things like that that make you wonder what was really going on, right? Juice WRLD, a suburban kid, all he wanted to do was music. He got into the music industry, had multiple platinum singles, albums, diamond, That's more than enough money to make a guy quit. You mean to tell me he was willing to throw all that away to do illegal activity? Alright, well, y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. I'm out.